Caregivers are the heart and soul of your organization. But are you doing more damage than you realize? Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Bonitatibus, owner and founder of Digital Champions. And today we're talking about caregiver training done differently to improve retention. I'd like to talk a little bit about a concept called the care paradox. This is something that I recently brought to more people's attention at my event, the Home Care Champions Experience, specifically talking to home care owners like yourself, in that so many of you are caretakers that you neglect caring for yourself. And our caregivers, all caregivers experience this same thing, where you care so much about other people that they become your main priority. And then what ends up happening, why it's a paradox, is that you end up getting sick, or your caregivers end up getting sick, because they're spending so much time caring for other people that they neglect their own care. And now they can't care for anyone because they haven't taken care of themselves. And so this is a huge, huge aspect of better understanding caregivers. But I know you as the owner have experienced this as well. And so what I'm going to share may relate to you, but you as the caregiver, as the caretaker of your business, of your family, you can relate to what they're going through. But we need to make sure that we truly understand their problems and what they're experiencing so that we can help them to overcome these challenges. There are 8 key struggles that caregivers go through on a regular, consistent basis. Number 1 is burnout and stress. When they're constantly running around caring for other people, it creates burnout. As well as burnout becomes very common for entrepreneurs as well. So I know you can relate to this. As I go through the struggles, we'll talk about how we can create retention campaigns to help combat some of these struggles. The second struggle is low wages and financial strain, specifically financial strain, which we'll talk a little bit about because that's a key element here in understanding our caregivers and what we can do to support them. Number 3, a lack of career growth and opportunities. Look, we get it. We know caregivers are a caregiver, they're a CNA, but there can be more for the ambitious ones, the ones that want to do more. And we'll talk more about that as we dive in. 4, work-life balance and personal sacrifices. Being a caregiver, a family caregiver, an actual CNA for an agency, or just a caregiver like yourself as an owner, goes through these sacrifices, sacrificing sleep, sacrificing quality time with their family. This is an important issue that needs to be addressed. Number 5, physical strain and health issues, right? This really ties into that element of the care paradox, because if you're constantly caring for someone, guess what? You're not working out, you're not eating well. These are not good things to promote positive health and energy. Right? So if we're not doing those things, we now have less energy to then care for more people. So again, these elements become so important. Number 6, lack of support and resources. Number 7, dealing with difficult clients and family members. And 8, mental health struggles, which we all know it's not just within caregivers, but we have a mental struggle within so many people within the country. So what can you do? Now that we've kind of broken down these 8 struggles, what can you do? What can you provide that's going to help and support these caregivers? Number 1, having a supportive culture. One of the things that I love that I see so many of my clients doing is that they have some of their lead caregivers actually being mentors to some of their other caregivers. It's so important that we have somebody to look up to that can be there, to be that person that sometimes we can vent to, that we can get feedback from, that we can get advice from. Not everybody has that. And so being able to provide that within your caregiver, within your network for your existing caregivers is going to be so impactful, as well as your bottom line with retention, which obviously is our goal here. But at the end of the day, we're really just trying to change lives and impact the caregivers on a deeper level. Number 2, comprehensive training. I get it. You train your caregivers, but guess what? We know that most of the time you're so focused on the dementia training, fall prevention, how to handle all these different situations, but less is focused on actual personal development training or things that are going to help them in their own personal lives. This is where we can really become a differentiator in giving them training that's going to help in multiple areas of their lives. So for example, it could be managing stress techniques, which can be a number of things. Maybe it's like exercise that you can do, yoga, just training them in these areas, how to manage difficult clients and family members. This is something that's often not taught, but if you can better train your caregivers in this area to just less be stressed, I know mindfulness is a really important thing that you can actually train your caregivers on so they take a second and take a breath so that they can handle situations when things arise. This can be really impactful. And then, not to mention financial training. This is what I touched on earlier that I think is such a missed aspect of the industry. Because here's the thing, I mentioned low wages, but that's not always the case. Because guess what happens? We spend what we have. Maybe you can relate to this. We're going to spend whatever we're making. And so even if you give more raises to these caregivers, they're still going to spend that money, and it's still going to be this recurring cycle of not having enough money because we spend more than we make. It's just it's just more common within lower income jobs, blue collar work like caregiving. And I hate to say it like that, but it's just the truth. I'm here to be authentic. This is what it is. You know this. All right. I have to be upfront and just talk about it as it is. We need to understand this. So if we can help our caregivers become more financially literate, and have them have a goal of what they want to do so that when we're giving those raises, we can allow them to actually create that financial success that we want them to achieve and get out of these holes that maybe they've been in. But if they don't learn the skill sets and learn how money can work for them or learn how to change their spending habits, then it's never going to create real lasting change, and giving them more money isn't going to solve their problems, right? More money, more problems. So we know that that's not going to be the solution. But focusing on financial literacy will help them to solve their problems. And so if you are connected in the community with maybe a financial planner, financial advisor, bringing them in, referral partners to now help and train your caregivers, it can cost you nothing to bring them in and teach people that want to learn. Now, are all the caregivers going to jump on this? No. But that's okay, because the good ones, they will. They understand the importance of money. They understand that leveraging and utilizing these opportunities and things that exist can be really impactful. I remember when I was in college, I actually had a personal finance class, and she required us to just write down what we were spending money on. And me and my good friend Rocco, we were sitting there and writing down the stuff we were spending money on. We didn't realize that we were getting lunch every single day, and it was spending $7 for that chicken sandwich that we kept getting. And now it was piling up, and it was like, oh, well, now it's $14 a week, right? And then 28. And so now we started to see where our money was spending. But had we not done that exercise, we wouldn't have realized where our money's going. And so it just goes to show you that even in college, right here in college education, not fully educated in this financial literacy. And sometimes it's these things that can really create this lasting change, which kind of leads to the next thing, number 3, which is helping your caregivers achieve their goals. What do your caregivers want to achieve? Maybe it's they want to take a vacation. Maybe it's they want to buy a car. Maybe it's they want to buy a house. Because let's be honest, a lot of their goals are going to be somewhat financially driven because let's be honest, things in this world cost money, right? Maybe they want to be a nurse. Some things that, maybe they want to be more fit. Well, guess that's a big part of nutrition that comes into fitness to be able. So things to achieve our goals often cost money. And so that's why I spent so much time on that area, because we want to help them achieve their goals. This is one of the most impactful and powerful things that you can do. One of my clients, he actually helped one of his caregivers buy a car. How amazing is that? Every time she gets in the car, guess who she's thinking about? She's thinking about this amazing company that she works for that got her this car, that gave her freedom to go where she wants to go. That is impactful. And then being able to market that, right? Because at the end of the day, that's our goal. We want to be able to market and leverage these things that we're doing. And so when we can showcase, hey, we helped this person buy a car, we can now market that to, hey, we helped this individual buy a car. We want to help you achieve your goals as well. But we're focused outside of your bottom line. We're focused on them and really helping make a lasting impact on these caregivers that will create loyalty forever. I know another person, I was at an event actually speaking recently, and I was in Vegas, and I mentioned this, and one of the people in the audience raised their hand, and they said that they helped one of their caregivers buy a house. And I said to them, I was like, Do you think they're ever going to work somewhere else? She's like, absolutely not. There is this incredible loyalty now. If you could help someone buy a house, or again, these are bigger things, cars, houses, going back to the vacation, even just being able to take a vacation with their family, that's powerful, which goes into other things that you can offer, right? Paid time off. But if they didn't save the money properly, that's where they're going for that specific thing. But now, if let's say, hey, I want to take a kid's trip to Disney World, or I want to go to the beach, whatever it may be. All right, how much is that going to cost? Okay, how many hours do you need to work? Maybe how many overtime hours do you need to work, or how much percentage of what you're currently making needs to go towards that trip to when you can go on it, and helping them to map out that plan, or teaching them how they can map out that plan. Using and leveraging these tools is really going to make that difference. Number 4, career development. Ask them, what do they want to achieve? Do they want to be a caregiver forever? Do they want to be a nurse? Do they want to go on? Support them in their goals, support them in their dreams. And it's okay if you help them to advance their career, which they end up leaving. That's okay too. Because guess what? They're always going to have an incredible experience of them being with you. I mean, I can relate to this personally because I was working for an amazing company, Home Care Revolution, right? Steve the Hurricane. And they nurtured me. They spent training on me. They spent, I went to events, I went to conferences, they invested in me. And then I left their company to start my own business. But they were so supportive because they just wanted to see me succeed. They wanted me to win. They didn't care about me leaving. They will figure it out. They'll find people, and they have. That's what we're looking for. It's okay if what's the leave behind? I'm always going to have an amazing, they could have handled that situation so many different ways, but they were so supportive. And looking back, I wish I didn't have as much fear in telling them that I was going to go out on my own, because they were so supportive. And you want to be that same thing for these caregivers that maybe want to venture on and do something more. And number 5, tools for work-life balance. There's a lot of tools and resources that are out there to help people better manage what they're going through, what they're experiencing, so that they can have this balance in life. And I know I don't always like that word, life balance. One of my friends always uses is work-life integration. And I love when he says that, because it really does encompass that, like, it's not so much a scale where we're trying to stay middle, it's just waves. And understanding this, how can we make sure that the work and life are integrated in a way where we don't feel like we're just working all the time, we're not playing all the time, and really find that it's going to go back and forth. We're going to have waves of working more, working less, but making sure that we set the time for fun, for play, so that we're not getting burnout, so that we're getting less call outs, because we're making sure that our caregivers are spending that time for themselves and not just spending all this time caring for people. This is the impact that you can create. This is about thinking about caregiver retention, caregiver training differently, and how you can really make a difference for the lives of these caregivers simply through education, creating a supportive environment. This is changing lives. This is the impact that you can create. So if you'd like more help on this, really developing these resources, helping so that you can, once you create them, these amazing things that you're doing for caregivers, but then actually market them to attract more top caregivers, that's where we come in. So to learn more, go to thedigitalchamps.com/connect to book a call today. I look forward to hearing from you soon.